Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for episode 136 of Two Guys, One Cartridge. Myself, Tim, and Daryl here, and we're back for part 2 of our E3 discussion.
Yes, that we are.
We have covered Sony. We have covered Microsoft. We did. We touched on Ubisoft and EA, which leaves us with. The big end is what we finished up with, and we decided to go ahead and split it up and say, we'll talk about the big end now.
Yeah, we might as well.
Which I haven't Okay, now, I am relying on you at this point, because I have not watched the Nintendo conference.
Well, see, I didn't watch it either.
Okay.
I'm going to come out and say it. I didn't watch it. I just read about it.
Awesome.
But, so, the game announcements that I've read about, we'll go ahead and just jump right into the game announcements right away.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the Mario Kart game.
Of course.
We have a Super Smash Brothers, which is going to be on Wii U and 3DS.
Awesome.
Those games, from what I understand, are 2014 releases. We have a new Donkey Kong game, which is in a Donkey Kong Country style, which is coming out in November, called Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
We have Sonic Lost World, which is effectively Sonic Galaxy.
Okay.
I don't know when that one's coming out. Super Mario 3D World, which is a new Wii U game in December. We have a new new Wind Waker HD remake coming out.
Okay.
Bayonetta 2. And then we have a new IP, the only new IP announced from Nintendo, which is called...
Real quick, Bayonetta, though, is that a multi-console release, though, or is this going to be...
I don't know, actually. I only heard it referenced to Nintendo.
Because no one else talked about that. That's what's really weird.
No. As far as I know, right now it is only a Wii U game. So we'll see if it changes going forward. But, yeah, as of now, it's Wii U only.
That's kind of weird, because Bayonetta is... at least the first Bayonetta was pretty much a mature game. Like, you don't really see many mature games from the Wii U, but...
No, you don't.
It says rating pending right now.
It does, yeah.
But, chances are...
It would probably be a mature rated game.
Probably
would probably be the only one on the Wii U.
She gets naked when she does combos. At least that's what it was in the first one.
Interesting.
Because, okay, you ever played the first Bayonetta? I guess not. Okay, so the first Bayonetta, it's really, it's creepy when you think about it, but, her suit is her hair. So her costume is her hair, so whenever she's fighting, her hair starts whipping around and everything else, and so her costume comes off, but then you realize, her costume is her hair, and she's wearing her hair. Ugh. It's fucking gross, but yeah, she gets naked. Boobies.
But other than that, the only new IP that they talked about was a game called Wonderful 101, which I know really nothing about. I didn't look into it other than I just heard about it. So, just first impression, Tim. What do you think about that lineup?
Well, the one title I can tell you right away that I am excited about is the new Super Smash Brothers game. Super Smash Brothers, or Smash Brothers, has been a title that my friends and family have all, it's one of the things we all kind of gather around and play together, kind of thing. It was a huge thing for us back when I was still living in North Carolina with myself and my brother and our friend Neil. We would play Smash Brothers until the early hours in the morning. And that was always a fun one, and I've been waiting for a new one. And it's actually, I thought that there was one supposed to be coming out soon, so when I bought my Wii U, I was like, well, I'll be able to get some Smash Bros. And then realizing it's a 2014 title, which means I'm not going to see Smash Bros. For a while. But they did announce, and I did see that Mega Man is coming to Smash Brothers, which is kind of cool. But other than that, I didn't see anything else in terms of new characters. I mean, from what I saw, everyone was pretty excited about Mega Man coming.
Well, they actually had 2 new characters in addition to Mega Man. So 3 total coming to Super Smash Brothers.
Who else? Yeah.
They have the Villager.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Never mind. Yeah.
From Animal Crossing, and they also have it, and now mind you, let me put this into the setting for you. So I'm watching the post Nintendo E3 coverage today on game trailers, and they're talking about how Nintendo has a special announcement coming. And I'm like, oh man, like they're going to announce some new game that they didn't talk about at their little press thing. And out of nowhere, they're like, oh, we just heard the new Nintendo announcement. And guess what it was? It was that the Wii Fit girl is going to be a character in Super Smash Brothers. So they didn't announce a new game, no. That was their special announcement, was that the Wii Fit girl is going to be a character in Super Smash. Yeah.
No,
so
I would be more interested. I would be more interested if it was the girl in her underwear that was playing Wii Fit from the YouTube video was a character in the Super Smash Bros. But just the Wii Fit train.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here thinking like, maybe it's a Metroid game.
Yeah,
probably not going to be a Metroid game, but maybe.
You said to me, because you said, I was at work, I said I really couldn't watch these as it was going on at work because I was actually quite busy today. But when you said that there's got the new announcement, they have a new announcement, something's coming, something's coming, and you said maybe just maybe it's like nah, that's not gonna happen. And of course you got denied.
Yep, just like you said.
Yep.
It's funny that with Nintendo, when you thought of their big three franchises back before, it was Mario, Zelda, and Metroid. Now it's Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong. No more Metroid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, did the last Metroid, the Wii release of the Metroid just leave that bad of a taste in people's mouths kind of thing? I mean, I really wasn't interested. I mean, I bought it, and I played it. I never finished it because I got kind of frustrated with it, and I put it down. Because, I mean, it was an interesting idea to have this whole 3D, the side-scrolling versus the first-person perspective, but it just, wasn't executed well with the controllers at the time. I mean, maybe with the Wii Motion Plus, it was a better thing, but I don't have the Wii Motion Plus. I still have the original Wii controllers, and it didn't feel natural playing it. And it just didn't. It did not move smoothly. It did not feel that great to me. So I never really finished it. And I don't know. Is that something that's maybe driving us? People just didn't really fall behind the last Metroid title. They feel it necessary not to release another Metroid. I mean, you and me would both love to see another 2D Metroid. I mean,
absolutely.
Let's bring. Nintendo is notorious for re-releasing games. I mean, we so many gamers out there, in terms of Square Enix and everything else. Everyone's preaching about wanting to see Final Fantasy VII remake and everything else. But no, I mean Nintendo will come out and say, hey, when the 3DS came out, we have Star Fox 3D. We have
Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, we have Ocarina of Time 3D.
Now they're doing Wind Waker.
Yeah, and we have, they said it's not a remake, but the sequel to A Link to the Past coming out. And so, all these games are getting these remakes. It's like, well, what the hell, Nintendo? Like, why are we not seeing new games? Why are we seeing these remakes? And I'll give it to them because, there's definitely people out there that say, hey, I'd love to see a remake of this. But I think that Nintendo is just listening too much to this, and we'll just keep on remaking all these titles, and we'll keep on giving HD releases for all these titles, and that's what we're going to put our focus in. We're going to go ahead and say that people loved these games before, they're going to love these games now with HD remakes. No, we want to see something else. We don't. I mean, if I wanted to go back and play some of these titles, I would bring out my old console because I still own all of them. Like, if I want to play Wind Waker, I'd grab my GameCube. If I want to play Link to the Past, I'd grab my Super Nintendo. If I wanted to play Star Fox, I would grab my Super Nintendo or my N64 kind of thing. It's just the remakes are nice, but this shouldn't be the thing that you're banking on. And that's the thing that it seems to be like Nintendo's banking on is just these re-releases. You're not seeing new titles.
Well, yeah, that's a big problem that I have with what they're doing now is, let's forget about the third-party thing for a second. And they do have third-party games coming, but no exclusives from what I could tell. And they only had the one new IP. Everything else that they announced just looks like more of the same stuff. And while they do have their audience of people who enjoy those kinds of games, I mean, the prospect of another Donkey Kong Country style game, I played Donkey Kong Country back in 1990, what was it, 97?
7, something like that, yeah.
So, I've been there, done that. I'm sure that the Sonic game, I mean, it looks all right, but again, I mean, I played Sonic. The Super Mario 3D World, I mean, and I'm sure I could have fun with these games, but it's the same problem that I have with Sony, where it's like nothing just jumps out and says, like, I'm the game that you have to own. I'm the game that really intrigues people, me specifically, really just speaking for myself. None of these games are really that interesting to me. And then when you add on top of that, what I really want is a new Metroid game, that's the game that I've really been clamoring for years now. They haven't, nothing, absolutely. They can't even say, like, yes, we do have it in development. We will talk about it when we're ready to. I could accept that. I could just accept an acknowledgement of it's there. We're working on it. We're doing whatever, and we'll talk about a release or what have you when we're ready to. But it's nothing. So they're just not talking about anything that interests me.
I mean,
nothing.
It's a reoccurring topic between us on this, and Nintendo has just like hurt our feelings over the years, and they kind of continue to. It's like, what happened to the Titan? What happened? I mean, the old console wars, the old Nintendo versus Sega, Nintendo just fucking coming out and saying, I am this, I am victorious. We have the Nintendo, we have the Super Nintendo, we have the Nintendo 64, we have the GameCube, we have the Wii, we have the Wii U. And it's like the Wii U, I still go down the Wii U aisle at these electronic stores and everything else, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, just the games really aren't there.
It's one rack space. I mean, in terms of, what the hell we used to call it back when we were doing like the whole displays? It was one.
It's a 1 4-foot section.
Yeah, 1 4-foot section.
1 4-foot section of games.
And that's all it is. Still, to this day, it's still 1 4-foot section.
And we're talking 7 months after release now, because I think it came out. Did it come out in November? Whenever it came out, it doesn't matter when it came out.
But it's been out for some time. We have nothing from it.
It came out last year. So, being that there are no games really that, just like I said, that say, come and buy me because this is the game that you have to play. Like, for me with the PlayStation 2, I didn't really have any interest in buying a PlayStation 2 until I saw GTA Vice City. That was the game that really said, you gotta come buy a PlayStation 2 because it's that good of a game. And it was, and I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
And I played other good PlayStation 2 games after that because of that. But I just don't see anything that's coming out on the Wii U or really even on the Wii. There were a couple games I wanted to play on the Wii, but once again, putting down the money for it, I couldn't justify the cost based off of just playing a couple games.
Yeah, and I mean, it was one of the things I got excited about, and actually I did buy the Wii. I mean, I bought the Wii and the Wii U, thinking that maybe, just maybe, and to this day, I mean, I own one game for the Wii U.
Wow.
Actually, two, but one of them came with the console because I bought the upgraded version of the console. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm waiting for Super Smash Brothers, and of course, the Mario I haven't bought yet, and I want to play. But it's just like, I don't know. I mean, because like, Nintendo has always been like one of those get people kind of together and play consoles. Like, the GameCube and the Nintendo 64, you get 4 people together in the same room, you're all sitting on the couch, and you're having a good time kind of thing. You play something like Mario Party, which of course makes friends into enemies very quickly. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's always the way I saw Nintendo. I mean, their online presence has never really been that strong. And so you just get people together in the same room to play, and I don't have that like here in Pittsburgh. Like I don't have that. The whole thing. I mean, I can get Scott, but Scott, my brother, but I can't even get him to come over anymore. So it's like, well, the Nintendo and the Nintendo lifestyle just seems to disappear.
Well, also, too, that's kind of a limited thing. You're not really going to go back. With the games that really only shine on that 4-player co-op thing. Like, I played the Super Mario Brothers Wii, and I played it multiplayer, and it was a lot of fun. But it's the kind of thing where, I mean, really, am I going to come back to that game 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years down the road? Yeah. Like I could with Super Mario World or Super Mario 3 or Super Mario, or Mario 64? Probably not. No, I don't think so. So it really, they lack the longevity. They don't have the appeal to me, and right now I really cannot think of a really good reason to buy a Nintendo console. Like I said, some of these games do look like they would be fun, but nothing really compels me to make that purchase.
Real quick story, Nintendo story, because it's actually a good Nintendo story, because I wanted to tell you this before, and since we're on Nintendo, I took my nephew with me to our cabin. The whole family went, right?
Mm-hmm.
My nephew and I sat down, and I was on babysitter duty for him because everyone had something to do, raking leaves or cleaning up or doing something else. But someone needed to watch my nephew. He just turned 4, so he needs entertainment. He needs to be watched. And I was like, all right, I got a way to watch him. My Super Nintendo is, and you're talking about longevity and everything else, was at my cabin. We pulled out Super Mario Brothers. We pulled out Turtles in Time. We pulled out Carnage, Maximum Carnage. We pulled out Super Star Wars. We sat there, and me and my nephew sat here and played these games together. Well, most of them together. But we sat here and played these games together. It's like, still to this day, I enjoy playing the Super Nintendo. Like even as, I grew up on it, but to this day, it's still an entertaining thing. And it's really funny because my nephew, is so far in terms of his gaming experience and being in this world, has been with an iPhone or iPod. So he's used to tilting the screen and the touch screen and everything else. The idea of holding a controller in his hand is absolutely
foreign.
Yeah. So whenever that was a funny thing. We started playing Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, the original Mario Kart, and he's sitting there tilting the controller, hoping he would actually, tilt everything or turn. And I was like, nah, dude, you gotta
use that D-pad.
You gotta touch that pad, man. But then the thing that would kill me is he would play something we pulled out Maximum Carnage, and the only reason I didn't think it was really appropriate for him. But there wasn't blood or anything. It was just kind of a beat 'em up game, and that shit was around when we were young. So what's the big deal? But it was Spider-Man, and he's a huge Marvel fan, and I've been making damn sure he goes more towards Marvel than DC. So he loves the Avengers, he loves Spider-Man, he's getting into the X-Men and all this other stuff. So I made damn sure, and so we put Maximum Carnage in. This is standard beat him up. But he's like, Spider-Man, I get to play as Spider-Man. Yeah, you do. See, it's a DC game. You ain't got that shit on the Super Nintendo. Well, the animated series Batman on the Super Nintendo was awesome. But other than that, nothing else really. So this is really cool. But that just goes back to your conversation of does something like the Wii or the Wii U have the same longevity? And right now, and even at this point, the Wii U's already come and gone, and the Wii U is the big thing that they're working on.
I'm not seeing it. I'm really not.
I can't think of anything on the Wii that would make me want to go back, like you said, back, 5 years, 10 years later and say, this is the shit, this is what I really want to play. And that same feeling isn't there anymore. And I don't know if it's just because we're getting older and we just think that, stuff from our childhood was awesome and stuff now sucks kind of thing. Is it just some feeling that we're getting?
I don't think so, because I'm just like you. It wasn't that long ago that I was playing Mega Man X, and I don't have the console anymore. I was playing it on emulator, but I was going back and playing Mega Man X and beating it. I beat it 3-4 times over the course of a week. So no, I don't think so. I just think that for people like you and I, who are now in our late 20s and we grew up with Nintendo, it's just kind of a been there, done that sort of thing. And it goes back to what I said about the Donkey Kong game, which is it's another Donkey Kong Country style game. And you and I beat it.
Yeah, so did I.
I don't know if you beat it. So it's just, and I'm it just goes back to what I said, which I'm sure it's a fun game, but it's just, I've been there and I've done that. Look, if I got it for free, I'd probably play it.
Because Donkey Kong really as a character and everything else, I've never really been interested in Donkey Kong.
Neither have I. Yeah,
Donkey Kong Country, I played it, I beat it, but I was done. I don't have any really sentimental feelings towards it. It was just a game that I beat. Yeah. Whereas versus where you compare that to a game like Metroid, I know that, and pretty much anybody that has a brain recognizes it.
some of the best games that have ever come out have been in the Metroid series, which Nintendo continually ignores. So
Super Metroid was the
no disrespect towards the Donkey Kong, Country series and those types of games. And like I said, they are good games. But anyway, let's go ahead and I mean, we don't mean to beat up on Nintendo too much here.
We do it every week now. No.
We do when we talk about Nintendo because we're continually disappointed with what they have to offer.
We've had our feelings hurt. Like, that's what it really is.
Well, I mean, it's, they have their audience and they want to appeal to that audience. Their audience isn't really growing. It's not, I don't really think it's shrinking significantly, but you're not going to see a Nintendo game set sales records. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about sales, it's like you hear about World of Warcraft setting records, and you hear about Call of Duty setting records, and Halo and everything else. But when was the last time a Nintendo game set a, day one sales record?
I mean, I wouldn't say like a day one, but like if you look at like the Wii versus the Wii U, for instance, like the Wii was a very hard console to find months after, like even a year after almost, when it was released. Like the Wii U though, once that hit the shelves, like, when I moved to Pittsburgh was the first time I was able to get my hands on a Wii. It was the very first time I was able to get my hands on it, because in North Carolina I could not find it anywhere. It was never available. They got short stock. Everybody was just chasing that console. Wii U comes out, it's like nobody cares.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, the hardware itself, when the Wii first came out, yeah, it was very hard to find, and no doubt about it, the Wii sold astronomical numbers. I mean, it sold better than I think probably anybody. I don't even think Nintendo thought it was going to be as popular as it was. So obviously they did something right.
Yeah.
But I think that was probably the exception, because if that were not, then that would have carried over to the Wii U, and it hasn't.
No.
So I think that the whole motion thing and the whole casual and let's get grandma and grandpa and our uncle that doesn't play games and the little kids and stuff, let's get everybody playing all these super casual games. Not the fashion casual games, because there, like we've said many times on the show, there's a place in gaming for that.
Yeah.
But let's get them all together in the living room and let's play these games together. That wears thin. That doesn't last. And eventually, you have to go back to the content, and that's where Nintendo is lacking, is in the new and the interesting IPs. They're not there. It's just more of the same stuff. I'm sure that the new Mario Kart is going to do some stuff. Like, I think they have a low gravity track or something like that, and they're having a little more customization of your kart. But who gives a shit? Because it's still just Mario Kart. I don't care. Like, I just don't. Like, it's not going to convince me, someone who isn't I would consider buying a Wii U if the games were there, but a Mario Kart game isn't going to convince me to buy one. I'm sorry. It's a been there, done that thing.
Now, just to be fair to Nintendo on this, Daryl and I also complain about COD, for instance, which constantly has games coming out every year, and they suck. So, not doing it again. You see all the Mario Karts, you see these IPs repeating over and over again, but it's just it's not. And I mean, take Call of Duty, for instance. Again, you have a franchise that arose. I mean, did it start in the original Xbox, or did it really start?
Oh, no.
It's 360 only.
Call of Duty was originally a PC-only franchise. It wasn't until Call of Duty 3 was a console-only game, but it wasn't until Call of Duty 4 that it really got popular. Call of Duty 4 was it came out on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. That was the one that really got popular.
Now, but let's look at this, though. So this is now a short period of time, really, between when Call of Duty really got popular on the console to now.
Yeah. It's basically about 5-6 years.
Yeah. But now you have games from the 90s. Like we said with Nintendo, you have games from the 90s that are now transitioning to this year.
Mm.
So now we are jumping 20-plus years. Easily. And you still think that a game like this can survive? Yeah. I mean, maybe you'll keep somebody interested, but again, it's the thing of, it's the repeating IP over and over again over a period of 20-plus years that we've seen over and over again. Like we don't even get to see some of the IPs that we want to see. Like you said, Metroid is something we want to see. We want to see something new from Metroid. The last one wasn't that great, but we want to see something. We want to see. I mean, if you're going to remake something, remake Super Metroid. Like,
you know what? Honestly, at this point, I would prefer they just leave it alone. Don't touch Super Metroid. Leave it alone. Just give us something new.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't want them to release a crappy Metroid game.
I mean, but granted, when Nintendo does the re-releases and everything else, they've done a good job with them so far, and they have not, I mean, I played the shit out of Star Fox 64 3DS and everything else, and playing Ocarina of Time 3DS. I mean, these games get the re-release and they get the updated graphics and everything else.
Yeah. And also, when they redid Metroid 1, they made it as Metroid Zero Mission. That was a good game, too.
So, I mean...
That's true. They do
give
their games justice.
They do a good job when it comes down to their remakes and their re-releases and everything else. But, again, this is not something that's going to keep you going. And, I say that, but Nintendo continues to go.
Yeah, another remake is like even a remake of like Ocarina of Time, unless you played Ocarina of Time before, which means you'd have to probably be in our age range, 20 to 30 years old, isn't gonna really appeal to you. It's not. I mean, I can't say it's not. It probably won't.
Because it came out in early teens.
It came out in like 1996 or 97.
Yeah, so that was like our early teens. Because that was
Yeah, it was a long time ago. So that's an older game, and they market it as like, and rightfully so. They don't try to pass it off as a new game. They market it as a remake. But that's just not the kind of game where it's not, especially coming out on a handheld too. It's not really bringing in the new. A large new crowd.
We were having this whole conversation about like Sony and Xbox, but somehow we are definitely more on Nintendo than anything else.
Well, and it's like I hate to beat up on them so hard, but I mean but it's just I know they can do better. I really do.
Get your shit together, Nintendo.
Yeah, because I was watching the game trailers footage today, and there was this guy on there who kept talking about how, Nintendo, they should just give up on hardware and just go software only, and they should bring their IPs to a wider audience on the 360 or the Xbox and the PlayStation and all that. I'm just like, you know what? Honestly, that's not going to happen. I think Nintendo will go bankrupt before,
and they'll keep their shit
before they go third party. I honestly believe that. And Nintendo also, they have a huge market in Japan too. So even though they may not be doing that well here in the States, they're probably doing pretty damn good in Japan. They're definitely doing better than the Xbox is, because the Xbox doesn't sell shit in Japan.
Yeah.
So, they're really more competing with Sony over there, but they're still doing pretty good in Japan, and the 3DS is huge too. That's another thing too, where I see more games I'm interested in, and I really want to play that Zelda, The Link to the Past too.
Yeah. I mean, I do too.
That will probably, that's a thing where that'll probably sell me on the 3DS right there. But that's just the thing where it's like, Link to the Past it's the game that it is.
And that's a game, I mean, hands down, if you were to tell me what if you were to say, name your top something favorite games, somewhere on that list, regardless, will always be A Link to the Past.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that has always been one of the greatest Zelda titles of all time. And people say, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and all this stuff. I'm like, well, even that, I wasn't even really big into the 64 titles. Like,
I wasn't either, to be honest. I really wasn't. They were good games. They were good games, but I wasn't.
Yeah, but I mean, still, going back to A Link to the Past is the shit. Like, even the original Zelda, meh. The Link to the Zelda 2, meh.
And I'll stand by my claim, by the way, that I am the only person in gaming history to beat Zelda 2 twice in one day. If anybody else has, let me know, because it sucked.
I accept this challenge.
It's not a hard thing to do. It's not that the game is hard. It's just by the end of that second playthrough, it sucked. I don't ever want to play that game ever again. never do I ever want to pick that game up again. It was very trying. So it's not hard. It's not a great accomplishment, but you just don't hear about people sitting down and beating that game twice in basically one playthrough. Like, I didn't stop.
Okay.
But going back to the Ocarina of Time thing, though, that would be kind of like if they announced Super Metroid 2. That's how I look at it, as that's kind of like my level of hype. That's what I mean. Where that's the kind of thing where if they came out and said on the Wii U, we're going to have a Super Metroid 2, which is basically like an old school Metroid game, but with a more modern graphic style and just kind of a little bit more modern convention.
So not a remake, but considered
not a remake, just a new Metroid game, almost like a follow-up, just to continue the series.
Okay.
Basically the next Metroid game that's just a 2D side-scrolling Metroid game that I've been asking for 5+ years now.
Well, you kind of got it in the last release, but I mean, you got half of it.
That's not the same.
The first person mode in that title just really irritated the shit out of me. Like Metroid Prime and everything else, I got it. You went to first person mode and you stayed in first person mode, and that was it. But like this whole side scrolling, then first person in switching to combat, like in the middle of combat, you have to play between the two. Like it's like no, I can't do this. But anyways,
all right. Well, let's wrap it up.
We've like totally went on a completely different tangent when it came down to Nintendo.
So I was gonna say, let's wrap it up here. And like I said, we don't mean to beat up on Nintendo, but it's just we expect more.
We love Nintendo.
We do. We really do. Everybody who grew up playing games in the 90s and whatnot
had Nintendo.
Everybody had a Nintendo
or Sega.
And you might have had both.
Maybe if your family was rich.
But we just expect more from them. I don't really know what else to say when it comes to Nintendo, other than I'll just reiterate that they're releasing games that their fans want to see, obviously, because it still sells, and they seem to be content with the market that they have, which isn't really growing, doesn't really seem to be shrinking a whole lot either.
I mean, you have to kind of give it to them, though, real quick, though. I mean, you have like these big characters, like we said, like Microsoft, for instance, has Master Chief, and Master Chief's been around since the original Xbox. Halo 1, and it's been around for over a decade.
Yeah.
But you look at something like Nintendo. Nintendo's been around for 20 plus
years now. Yeah.
And something like Mario, for instance, has been an icon since then, and that character still exists, and everyone still knows that character to this day.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that Nintendo completely ditch Mario games, but what I'm saying is I would like to see them do other stuff too. Because if they're so good at making games, why can't they do something other than the same 4 or 5 franchises they've been doing for forever?
Because you keep on focusing on the 4 or 5, like you said, the 4 or 5 franchises. At some point, you're just going to run out of ideas, and then you're going to release a title that's complete shit, and then people are going to really revolt against you.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think they can probably keep reinventing themselves slightly, kind of at least enough to make games that are still fun, because it's not like they're releasing Mario games for the Wii and what have you every year. I mean, it's one every 2 or 3 years, so it's not like Call of Duty where they're really running it into the ground. But it just goes back to the point of I just want to see them just try to do something a little different. But they did announce one new IP, which is good, but I would just still like to see them do more.
Can I just say real quick, I saw on the social Nintendo, and we mentioned Bayonetta, so I went and actually watched the Bayonetta 2 trailer. I love games like this. Like, guys, I'm watching it now. Like it definitely stays true, at least for the quick little trailer. It sticks true to the way Bayonetta was, just this crazy constant fighting, crazy spells and abilities and everything else. I mean, games like this, games like Devil May Cry, God of War, Dante's Inferno. And I love that style of games too. It's just constantly fighting massive amounts of enemies and just beating the shit out of everybody kind of thing. It was nice to see Bayonetta because it was one of the few times you see a female lead role.
Yeah.
In this game, but then again, she got naked all the time. But I mean, for me, that wasn't the selling point for me. But in this, actually, she's sporting
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, she's sporting short hair though, so like it means her bodysuit is definitely made out of something else, I guess, besides her hair, because usually your long hair was actually like connected to her suit. Again, I digress. Boobies.
Well, let's so I mean we pretty much said what we have to say on Nintendo, which is just we want them just to do a little bit more than just kind of their status quo thing. So,
well, actually, let me ask you this then. Let me ask you a question. Out of everything here that we have seen, discussed, and everything, what are you? I mean, again, you said you're not a console person, but let's just say in a perfect world you had access to these games. What do you think was the most exciting? Like, what are the most exciting things you've seen out of E3 so far that you would be interested in playing?
Well, I'll go back to what I said as far as we were talking about Xbox One versus the PS4, and I'll just talk about those 3 games again that I mentioned, which were The Division, and then Project Spark, and Below. Those are the 3 games I want to get my hands on the most. Now, I do want to play some of the other games. If I had an Xbox One, I'd probably play the Halo game. I'd probably play Crimson Dragon, couple other games, but those are the ones that I really want to get my hands on. I would put money into to play.
Good choices.
Indeed.
No, I'll definitely agree with you on The Division. That one definitely piqued my interest a lot by watching it. I was really interested when I saw that. Of course, the quick shot at Halo, I mean, it's Halo, so of course it's going to get my attention. But Killer Instinct is definitely a nice thing to see back in the world of gaming. And I mean, really Titanfall. I mean, I know you say it's like COD with mechs, but like I still want to see Titanfall. I want to see something more from Titanfall.
Yeah, I'm not totally down on it. It's just what I saw wasn't.
It didn't really impress you.
It just wasn't as great as, I mean, I didn't see what was so great about it. Everybody was gushing over it from what I saw, and I didn't really see anything about it that was.
I mean, I won't say I was gush. I wouldn't say I was gushing, but I would say that I am definitely, like, I like the idea. I like the idea of soldier combat and mech combat, together in one game.
They have that, and there's this game out called Blacklight Retribution.
Don't even get me started about Blacklight.
You can play it for free.
Don't even get me started about Blacklight, because I get the shit knocked out of me in Blacklight.
Yeah. And I usually finish in the top 1 or 2. But that's not that. I mean, come on. I mean, it's me, you know.
I was honestly, Daryl, I was waiting for you to bring up Blacklight. Like, I had it in my head. When we started talking about Titanfall, I said to myself, this motherfucker is going to bring up Blacklight Retribution at some point. And sure enough, you did. But, I mean, Blacklight, I mean, with Blacklight, like, the Titan, or your mech appearance was definitely more rare than it seems to be.
It was one of your optional things you could call down. So
yeah, it took some time to earn it.
It wasn't a major part of the gameplay like it seems to be in Titanfall.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty big thing in Titanfall. And, like, the ability to jump on the back of the Titan's fucking, jump on its back and shoot at its fucking gears and everything else, and kind of shoot at the innards and probably kill the pilot inside and everything else and steal the mech and walk away with it. That stuff's all kind of cool. I mean, I really didn't see much of that from Blacklight, but then again, I got frustrated with it because Daryl would always be on top of the fucking leaderboards, and I was always be on the bottom of the leaderboards.
Well, I mean, and I'm not totally down on Titanfall, it's just I want to see more.
Yeah. We didn't mention World of Tanks. It's coming to the 360.
No, I don't think I did. Yeah, I think I glossed over it just because it was not an exclusive and it wasn't a new release.
It's something we've seen on the PC for a long time, and now it's coming to the 360. It's not an Xbox One title. It's a 360 title, which is interesting because Microsoft seems to be still offering up a lot in terms of dedication to the 360.
They did, yeah. They announced more than a few games for the 360. I've got about 10 here, plus the Summer of Arcade too.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff still coming out for the 360. At the same time, they're still working on the Xbox One and getting all the titles ready for the Xbox One and having those titles at release available to the consumer, but it's like they definitely don't want to throw the Xbox 360 under the bus and say, we're done with you. they definitely are still releasing titles because we have Grand Theft Auto 5 coming out, and that's not going to be a next console release. It's going to be a PS3 360 release.
Yeah, and probably PC later.
PC at some point.
Probably later on.
Way later, but we'll see.
In a poorly optimized.
We'll see it.
But that's to be expected. But I mean, speaking of the PC, as you know, we mentioned that all the multi-platform games. There really wasn't a lot of. It's not a big thing for PC E3. You don't hear a lot about PC exclusives there.
No.
I mean, Valve doesn't attend, Blizzard doesn't attend.
It's all console, really.
It really is. But we did hear about there is a new Warhammer 40,000 MMO called Eternal Crusade.
Oh, more MMOs.
But it's not supposed to come out until the end of 2015 at the earliest. So it's ways away. But you can read a little bit about it on the official website, so at least that's a little something to look forward to. The other little note I picked up today is that the game The Last Guardian, which this is a game that has been talked about for the last few years, is from the same people that did Shadow of the Colossus and Ico, is indefinitely postponed.
Oh.
So no word on that anytime soon. But...
speaking of postponed shit, Stick of Truth had in the trailer. Well, we did not mention the new South. We did not. Well, let me try that again. We did not mention the South Park game at all during this.
I think I mentioned it when I was going through Ubisoft and I glanced, but I just kind of glossed over it.
Maybe I said it very quickly, and I've been drinking, so I don't count it.
Oh, you know what? No, I didn't because it was part of the Xbox 360 and not the Ubisoft.
We got the new trailer. We knew. We learned about the Nagasaki.
Yes, and apparently we learned that you do not fart on another person's balls.
Yes, which again, it showed off very. It pretty much showed off animation in style with South Park the way that it is currently, and whether or not this is actually in-game style footage or not, we don't know. But they were kind of good about everything and poked fun at themselves. Saying that this game will be out holiday season or some holiday season. Yeah. You never know with these video game things. So they were able to poke fun at themselves because originally they were with THQ. It was supposed to already be out at this point.
Mm-hmm. I think February was the original release.
I'm pretty sure that was what it was too. And now they're talking about holiday season of this year. When it will actually be released, and it's just it sucks. THQ went under, and all of their different games and everything else were divvied out to everyone else, and then they went this whole lawsuit thing with South Park, and because they said we had a deal with THQ, we did not have a deal with anyone else. We will not just go ahead and say we're coming out. We're just go ahead and say we're going to allow you to release us. Just move over to a new publisher and everything else. But, it's South Park. I want to play it. Maybe.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, it's going to be more of a casual, hopefully, style RPG, not like a super hardcore. So I'm hearing it's going to have a lot of, combat that's more reminiscent of Super Mario RPG and that you can kind of block if you time it correctly.
Oh, time blocks.
Yeah, you can get your I guess double attack or whatever. I don't remember exactly what they call it.
Your crit strikes and your
if you time things correctly. So I'm really hoping it's going to be more of a casual RPG. Not that I'm like a noob or whatever, because clearly I'm not. But
you're super elite.
I am uber elite.
It's definitely a game to look out for because people were excited about this. I'm excited about this.
Absolutely, yeah. I love South Park. I've been watching South Park since it came out, and the art style is 100% South Park. And did you know they're coming out with another South Park movie too?
Are they? I didn't know.
Yes, they are. Actually. They definitely are.
I just watched it longer and I cut the other day again.
I just read about it a few days ago, actually.
Oh.
But yeah, they are coming out with a new South Park movie too. I have some faith in Obsidian. They do. I'm not a huge fan of their games in general, but they're not terrible. But I think that they're going to do a good job, and I with the comedy style of South Park too.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I can very much get into, and I know it'll incorporate a lot of that into the game because I'm pretty sure it is being written by Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
So, I mean, their names are on there all over the place. So.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's going to just basically be like playing a South Park episode, is what I'm hoping it's going to be.
I mean, 'cause they talked about this at the last E3. I mean, we got the quick little release there, and of course we got it here. Like you said, and I said, it was supposed to already be here. We were supposed to have already been playing this game 4 months ago.
Yeah.
But.
Shit happens.
Yeah, exactly. Shit happens. THQ, poor THQ, man.
Nobody had a crystal ball and saw them going bankrupt.
Fucking THQ, man. I mean,
R.I.P., bro. For my homies.
Hey, yeah, I'll pour. If I
I'm
didn't
not
want
pouring this out for my homies.
If I wanted to clean up shit on my couch or my carpet, I would go ahead and say pour one out. But I'm not. No.
Yeah.
I am metaphorically pouring one out right now.
But I really don't have anything else from E3 Day 1 or 2.
Well, you had the reoccurring themes, was another thing you mentioned in the first episode.
Yes, that we did have. I mean, as far as game content itself goes, didn't really have anything else. I think we pretty much covered all the announcements. At least stuff it was pretty relevant. I mean, we had a couple other things. I mean, we didn't really talk about Dark Souls, but
it wasn't much shown for it anyway.
Today they had some more gameplay, but it was another game in that style.
It's another you're gonna get raped over and over game. Yeah. Okay.
They had talked about there's a Splinter Cell game coming out. I'm not a big fan of the Splinter Cell series, so not a big deal to me. Mad Max. They have a Mad Max game coming out.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
That's the thing was we were watching this going, what the fuck is this Mad Max? And then it turns out to be Mad Max. We're like, what the hell, really? So yeah, we're getting Mad Max.
But they haven't talked about it from what I've seen at all.
Totally hoping for Mel Gibson to be voicing something.
I think so, unless he's going to say how much he hates the Jews.
Well, I mean,
he could
very possibly do that.
He could do that in the game, but you never know. Because he does hate Jews, by the way.
He does. He hates those Jews. Gotta love Mel Gibson.
But really, other than that, I don't really see a lot else we didn't talk about.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that someone on YouTube will go ahead and point out the fact that we didn't talk about something.
Well, they can go fuck. Well, no, please don't. So.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that now.
We are trying to actively grow the audience. At least we're kind of in the beginning stages of. So, by the way, if you like what we do, and I hope that if you've listened to us for this long, you do. So throw us up a like on Facebook or give us a subscription on YouTube and tell other people and all that good stuff because
we've been getting pretty good results for 2 of the 4 that we've released.
But I think too part of it was like I said yesterday, we got to make sure we change the channel name because it's all one discombobulated word that's not a word thing. So
totally a word.
Oh yeah, power included.
Power ups. Stay on the website. Yeah, if you're enjoying. You know what? I would even say go ahead. I would say go ahead and check out the rest of the stuff on powersnotincluded.com, our website that we're hosting. But there's nothing there.
Kind of is nothing. Yeah.
There's nothing there.
It's us.
Yeah. It's us and it's our YouTube channel. So I mean, if you found us on YouTube, you might as well go watch the rest of our YouTube shit because that's it. The other people that used to write for us disappeared, and the ones that still write for us barely do. So we are we're 2 guys.
No homo.
We're 2 guys.
Totally no homo.
Totally.
Jim's homo, but not me.
That's true. So I mean, but
let's go ahead and wrap up our E3. So we talked.
I was trying to talk about my hominess, but okay, go ahead. Right.
Yeah. So the common themes from what we saw from the major press conferences. So I'll ask you first, Tim. What did you see?
Open world was definitely...
Open world, absolutely. I was going to... Yep.
Quick swapping between single player to multiplayer was another big one. Especially with playing single player and then having the opportunity to jump into multiplayer has been another big thing. That was.
I also noticed, too, that tablet integration...
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Was a big thing.
All over the place.
They had talked about games having apps. I think Watch Dogs had integration with tablets.
Being able to call in support with a tablet was in Need for Speed, the Need for Speed title.
I'm pretty sure they had something in the Crew too, maybe, possibly. It was one of those racing games. They all kind of blend together because they're all equally irrelevant to me. So, but that was one of the things that I noticed was tablet integration.
Yeah, that's the big one. Yeah, that's the big thing. Microsoft has really been pushing that with the smart glass with this generation. To make sure that you have, more from everything, and to see, the tablet. Not even just, like they were saying before, like one of the early on things was that you would be able to see like more information about something. Like if you were watching, like they came up point of the Game of Thrones, for instance, you could be able to see more about what's actually going on in the story and just read on your tablet as you're watching the show, kind of thing. Whereas now it's, like I said, Need for Speed, for instance, you have full control of being able to do certain things. This Project Spark, you have control of certain elements through the tablet or through your mobile device, really, I should just say, not just tablet. Other games have had this also brought to attention as well. So, I mean, they're definitely trying to make sure that it's not just the console. It's a bunch of different things all, integrated together to make one experience.
So, but I think, you touched on a couple points that I was going to make. So I think those just were the overarching themes overall.
Cool.
Or online, having that kind of seamless integration from single to multiplayer, tablet integration, that was really, it seemed like what everybody was going for.
That's the big thing. I mean, if you look at like the days of the Wii and everything else, motion control was the big thing. And of course, Wii, and then you had the PS Move, and you have the Kinect. Like that was the big thing everyone was moving to. But now it's like this whole feature of integration. Like integration is the key word when it comes down to stuff here, is you want to bring in, multiple devices together to give you a better experience overall with everything. And Microsoft has really been embracing this with
of course they have.
With Kinect and Smart Glass. And,
yeah. Well, also because they have Windows Phone and also their whole line of Windows 8 tablets too.
Yeah, Surface.
So.
And so, I mean, definitely you want to get everything out of there. So you want to get as much out of it as you can. You want to go and make sure that all of your devices can play nicely together. And Microsoft has been working on this. I mean, Microsoft has been designing operating systems for years and years and years and years. And, with the introduction with the Xbox into the gaming world and everything else, now with the Xbox One, finally we see like this full, combination of, operating system versus console versus, again, like Microsoft said, we have 3 operating systems: the Xbox operating system, the Windows operating system, and then the operating system in the middle to connect the two. So you definitely have, they definitely have, plans for all these different devices to connect together and to have one big giant experience together. And I look forward to it because I want to try all this shit out.
Basically, one big giant Windows 8 gangbang.
Wow. It doesn't require Windows 8, so
well,
I can still use my Apple tablet. Thank you very much.
You could. Right now, you could.
And I will.
But you never know.
No, I don't think
down the road,
some
games may require Windows 8.
Because everything goes through Smart Glass. If it's an application, so if Smart Glass is the application,
you never know, man.
Nah. I mean, I know I say that, and then you'll go ahead and blast me. Like, when was the last time I went ahead and told you something and then pulled it away from you? Like, and I was like, and then the conversation will be over, and it's like, okay, Daryl 101, Tim.
Tim 1.
Yeah, so I mean, I won't get into that conversation with you, but Smart Glass is out there, and it's out there for multiple tablets, not just Apple, but for the Amazon tablets, or the Kindle. I think it's out there. The Kindle Fire, I think it's out there. Your Google Play Store and everything else. So your Android tablets, your iOS tablets, your Windows tablets, it's out there for everything for everyone to enjoy so far. And I really don't think Microsoft will alienate people because tablets like the iPad and everything else have been around for longer. And definitely you have a bigger fan base towards that, and they can just design the app, and the app is there already. The app is available to people. I don't think they would pull that away. To say, hey, no, by the way, you gotta be one of our Surface tablets. Yeah, and people just go, fuck you.
Not that Microsoft would ever do anything like that.
No.
They're very, very consumer friendly.
All the time.
Not like they would require Kinect for Xbox One or anything like that.
No, I mean, shit happens. But let me ask you this, because of course this is the question, and we have answered this question before in the last couple of years that we've been doing our E3 shows for 2G1C. Do you think that anybody actually won E3 this year?
From a PR perspective, Sony won.
Yes. Okay.
But I'll go back to what I said on the last podcast, which was that Xbox One has more interesting games to me. It's kind of a toss-up between those two. I can't declare a clear-cut winner from my perspective, but at least from the internet community and the internet gaming community perspective, I would say Sony won that battle. But if you ask me to give you kind of an overall winner, I'd say I couldn't do it. I just from my perspective, I couldn't do it because I just being objective about it, I can't see one winner.
Wow, it's like a first. I think usually, we've been pretty quick to decide right then and there who won.
Yeah.
But you're kind of right. Because Microsoft definitely came out and said some things that like fuck themselves. They came out and
Absolutely,
said the always online, the Kinect being
always
on, pretty much. Yeah.
No trading, no renting,
yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah.
So they definitely put a fucking bullseye on themselves by saying something like that. And then, of course, Sony took absolutely no hesitation at E3 to come out during their press conference and point out the fact that their console's $100 cheaper, that everything is still disc-based gaming, and that you can still trade your games, loan your games, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to permanently own your game. You can still lend it to people or trade it to someone and sell it off to somebody else. You have that right still. So I don't know. Sony, again, over the years, especially with the PS3 and everything else, like, I have not been a fan of the exclusives. I'm not really a huge fan of the exclusives on PS4. I said their whole indie side of everything, we're getting most of these titles on the PC. So there's really nothing that's really driving me towards the PS4. And I have been a firm Microsoft supporter in terms of their consoles since the original Xbox, and I adopted the Xbox 360 early on, and I plan on adopting the Xbox One early on as well. Because I'm definitely excited to see what they have coming out of it. I like the integration features. People complain about the DRM and everything. Well, guess what? My internet connection has no problem. So for me, it's not an issue. I don't trade my games. Not a problem for me again. I don't loan my games out. Again, not a problem for me. So me personally, not looking at, it's evil, the fact that there's DRM and everything else. For me, it's not an issue because I have good internet. I don't trade my shit. I don't loan my shit. It's all here all the time, and I've never had a problem with my Xbox in the past, besides the one Ring of Death one, but I got replaced. But I can't come out and say Microsoft is absolutely evil. For me, in my position, it still works for me. I understand there's people out there that have shitty connections. You have the military overseas that can't play and everything else. And that's the thing is, I'm just going to say, me personally, I don't care. Like, the Xbox console still looks very interesting to me. The integration features with everything, with my TV, with my music, with Skype. The fact that the one thing I think we didn't talk about was the quick thing about the beacons in games, because the 360 introduced beacons that where people started playing a certain game, you would be notified that they were playing that game if it was one that you were interested in playing. Well, because of the discless actual gaming and everything else, like they showed off that someone was playing. They had someone playing Rise, and match has become available in Killer Instinct, and it says go to match. Boom, connect, go ahead, listens to you, got the voice command, puts you right into the match for Killer Instinct right there. Diskless console, diskless gaming and everything else makes that happen because you don't have to sit there and go, hold on, pull out Rise, go grab Killer Instinct, put that in, and then close your console or anything else. The one thing they didn't show is what happened when you switch back. Can you switch back to Rise right away, which I'm assuming you can, because otherwise that would be dumb as shit. But long story short, because I really rambled, I'm gonna stick with Microsoft. I really am. After all this, they really painted a target on themselves, but I'm sticking with Microsoft because I'm more interested in what they have to offer with, the full integration with everything else.
I mean, for me with Microsoft, it really just goes back to the indie gaming community and the always-on Connect thing. So with the indie gaming stuff, no self-published games. That really sucks because like we talked about this in the last show, where there were a lot of good games that came out on Xbox Live.
Mm-hmm.
And they've shot themselves in the foot because those games probably aren't going to be there now. And I'm not necessarily going to say they're going to go over to Sony. I think that you'll probably see more of those games just on PC. Because you didn't see a lot of cross-platform indie games between Sony and Microsoft before.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see a reason why you really would now, just because I think you saw more between the 360 and the PC than you did between 360 and PS3.
Yeah.
So I don't see a reason why that would change, at least the way things stand right now.
And again, like we said, the self-publishing thing sucks.
It does, absolutely.
But as PC gamers,
we're going to get most of those games anyway.
Exactly.
So that's not a deal breaker, but it does suck because there were still some games that didn't come out on PC that did come out on 360.
And even sometimes, though, when it comes down to what we've seen on the PC, we don't see these games until a year later sometimes.
Yeah,
Bastion,
absolutely.
Bastion was a good one. What Bastion wasn't a year.
Bastion was in terms of months, but when you're talking about years, like we talked about Castle Crashers.
Oh yeah,
that was a game that came out a couple years later.
Yeah, Castle Crashers was. I was playing Castle Crashers when I first moved to PA, and it didn't get released to PC until I moved into. I mean, it just in the last couple months.
Yeah, I think it was recently, like this year. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it was maybe the end of last year. Maybe.
So, either way, you're talking within the last year.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a long period of time between the two releases. So sometimes, like I mentioned before, like Dust. Elysian Tale, for instance, came out on Xbox Live a year ago. We finally got it on PC the last couple weeks. So, I mean,
Castle Crashers came out in September of last year. So still, a couple years later, 2-3 years after it came out.
So sometimes we get shafted on terms of our release dates, but
better late than never.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the Kinect. I don't like the always on. I mean, I understand, for the most part you can turn it off, but it's still kind of always there, and that's assuming that you remember to turn it off, too.
I'm just saying, what if, like, Xbox On was my safe word during, really freaky sex?
Yeah.
Not that it would ever be that, but it's like, Xbox On, and then people got a full show.
So, forgive my, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, Fourth Amendment loving self, but
the NSA is watching.
They don't get me started on that. All right. All right.
Well, that's what drove it. But okay, I'll leave it on.
We'll move on from that. But I just don't like the idea in general of that. But putting those two concerns aside, I can't think of a reason why I would pick a PS3 or PS4 right now over an Xbox One. I mean, I like their games better in general. That's really what it comes down to me is the games.
And that's the way it really should be. I mean, the extra shit that they throw on there really kind of deters people away from it, but it comes down to the core feature, which is the game. What do you want to play?
Yeah, and right now the Xbox One has better games to me than the PS4. So that's all I have to say about that.
I've never played a Forza title in my life, but I really want to play Forza 5. So
I don't know. That's all I have to say, Tim. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
I think that's really it. I think we've definitely covered it. We've definitely hit our mark again for this recording.
Absolutely. The only other thing is, WildStar is at E3. I'm pretty sure they're going to have some more details before the show ends, so I might even do a single podcast again.
Hey, I want to get on this one.
Well, we'll see what happens. I don't actually know if they will or not. I know it's there. I don't even know if they're gonna have anything new, but if they do, we might have something come out later on in the week. So we'll see.
Just saying, I felt lonely last time. I was like, oh, you did all this work to put something out, but that wasn't part of it.
We'll see where it goes, but. Yeah, I'm done. I've hit everything I wanted to talk about.
Real quick, because I know I talked about Hexen last week. Actually, hold on. Over here. Sorry, not Hexen. Sorry, I I've got
Hexen.
Yeah, sorry, Hex. Hex.
Yeah, Hexen. I'm playing Hexen. That's a damn 6-year-old game.
As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, no, I mentioned Hex. Sorry, I mentioned Hex. Which actually, I wanted to say this. Oh shit! What did they end up with? Yeah, they actually met at the close of their campaign. $2,278,255 between May 8th and June 7th. So, almost $2.3 million raised in that at that point. Yeah. And I'm excited for that. And then I also saw, real quick, the reason what brought me to think about Hex was the fact that Magic 2014 is coming out to Steam coming June 26th. I'm assuming it's coming to Xbox 360 and maybe the PSN as well. I don't even know if it ever actually made it to PSN, but I know it was on 360 and PC, but it is coming at the end of June. So all of you trading card game people out there, it is coming. Looks like they're adding more stuff into it, actually booster packs and everything else. So definitely better. More choices to go with there, but Hex is definitely the way to go whenever that game becomes available. Of course, open beta, the beta for donators and everything else was September. That was their original idea. So we'll see. But check that stuff out. If you play online with Magic and everything else, you can go ahead and find me on Steam. I'll whoop the shit out of you. I'll make you cry to your mama. But we'll see. But that's been E3.
Yep. So if any major revelations come out on the third or fourth day, we'll talk about those. We might put up another really short podcast, but pretty much everything is done. And like I said, the only game I want to talk about is WildStar, and there's no guarantee of any big announcements. So that's it.
And I think this is the first time that we've actually, I think this is our third or fourth year that we've done the E3 show. I think third year. Yeah, third year?
Third. I think it's the third year,
yeah. Third year. So third year doing the E3 show, and it's the first time that we've actually recorded both segments in one night. Mm-hmm. Usually it's one night.
Well, but they put most of the content into the first day, too, this year.
True. I think the last time we just tried to kind of spread it out a bit, because we had a lot to talk about stuff from the first day, moved over into the next day as well. That's neither here nor there. So, but anyways, thank you everybody for listening. This has been episode 135 and 136. Mm-hmm. Because they're long enough to be their own episodes, definitely. 2 guys, 1 cartridge. Again, we definitely want to see more from everything. And Nintendo, we don't hate you.
Yeah, we just want more.
We just want more. So. But you have yourselves a good night, a good week. Get your wallets ready, eat your ramen noodles and your Chef Boyardee to go ahead and get your wallet ready. And remember, the Steam Summer Sale is also coming. Yes. Yeah. you're all doomed. So we'll be back here next week.
Yep.